Hello. I'm so excited to sit down with you because today I want to record really differently than I have thus far on this channel. I do a lot of how-tos and talking about specific things, but today I want to be super real and catch you up on what's been going on in my life and how I feel that's so applicable to some of the things that we go through. A lot of stuff's been going on. Basically, I feel like it all started when we had our second miscarriage in January. So right now it's March 17th as I'm recording this. And we had our first miscarriage actually last March 2022. And when we had our first miscarriage, doctors and everyone say, oh, it's really normal. You have one miscarriage. Like, it's totally fine. It happens to so many people. It's so normal. And so we kind of were just like, oh, like, okay, that was horrible to go through. I mean, if you've been through one miscarriage or more, you know. But I was like, oh, okay, this happens a lot. This doesn't mean there's anything wrong. And we're just gonna try again. And we had gotten pregnant really quickly the first time. And so we just figured that the second time we would also get pregnant really quickly, and then we would have our baby and everything would be good. But that is not what happened. After taking a small break from trying to conceive, we started trying again in the summer, and it took us 6 months to get pregnant. I found out I was pregnant really around, right on Christmas. I pretty much knew that I was pregnant, and so I was really excited, hesitant for sure, but cautiously optimistic. You know, everyone had said one miscarriage, no problem, but then in January, we went to the doctor and we found that the baby had no heartbeat. I had been on progesterone due to a really low progesterone number, and so that was preventing me essentially from miscarrying. So I stopped taking the progesterone and miscarried on my birthday, my 35th birthday. So it was the worst day that I can think of that I've ever had, for sure. A lot of stuff happened from there, okay? A lot of stuff happened from there. For a while, we were just so confused, so in shock that this is happening to us. And there comes a time when you realize, oh, we are people with fertility problems. This is a club that many, many people are in, and none of us want to be in this club. And yet we are in this club. And I guess the reason I feel compelled to share so openly, even though this is not normally how I share at all, is because of what provided so much comfort to us was watching the videos and the videos and the videos of people who had experienced recurrent miscarriage, who had experienced difficulty conceiving, who had gone through IVF, and even people that we've met. And when we would share with them, we would hear that they also had been through something similar. And the people who are brave enough to share their story, whether it be the people we meet in our real life, and also these people who share on YouTube or podcasts or online, that was my lifeline during this time. Just realizing, because when you're of a certain age, you look around you and everyone is pregnant and everyone has children. And when you don't, it feels like you're the only one. And so these YouTube videos were like a lifeline. But more happened, and I might even have to do a whole video on this particular thing because I swear to you, it blew my mind. I won't go into the long version of this, but in reading about reasons why women have low progesterone, and it turns out ironically it may not have even been for this reason at all, we started reading about PCOS, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And this is a disorder that involves a lot of different body systems. It involves your reproductive, but it also involves your endocrine system, your immune system, your thought, so many bodily areas, and that's what makes it so difficult to diagnose. I have never been diagnosed formally with this, and even to this day, after taking the diagnostic labs, I'm not formally diagnosed, but I My doctor and I are on the same page that even though I don't check all of the official boxes, that I am 100% a PCOS person. Like, I have PCOS, but at different ages, different symptoms are more pronounced and less pronounced. And that's why right now at this point in my life, I don't meet that exact criteria. But had this been looked at like 10 years ago, I would have met the criteria. I will do a whole video on that, because if you really want to go into the nitty gritty, boy, did I go into the nitty gritty over the last 2 months. So what happened, we started kind of obviously looking for answers. Why are we not able to maintain the pregnancy? And we came across PCOS. And one of the major symptoms of PCOS is difficulty regulating blood sugar and basically insulin resistance. And so that means that your body has difficulty regulating your blood sugar, and it results in your blood sugar going like really high and crashing down, really high, crashing down. And I had experienced, there's other symptoms that were prominent for me too that I'll go into more in another video, but the hormonal acne, which I suffered with and took prescription drugs for 20 years, irregular periods, which I definitely had for many years as well, which was kind of camouflaged by different types of birth control over the years. But anyway, so PCOS, but the main thing was this blood sugar thing. And apparently the insulin, the blood sugar crashes and surges directly affect the hormones that regulate can regulate pregnancy. So another symptom of PCOS is infertility. And up to 10% or possibly more women have PCOS. So it's extremely common. We started reading about PCOS. The more I read about it, the more I was like, this answers so many questions about how my body has worked my whole life. And I thought everybody's was like this. I thought everyone needed to eat every 2 hours, or they would kill someone because they were that irritable, or they might pass out. That's how horrible they feel when they're hungry. I thought everyone got hangry to the point where they literally got dizzy, and like, I thought everyone took snacks with them everywhere, because when hunger hits, it's like an immediate thing. I learned that these are not normal. Crazy. And I also learned that this probably is playing a part in fertility issues. And I don't know right at this point exactly what part or how big. And I do know that our second miscarriage was a trisomy chromosomal abnormality, which means that the pregnancy was not viable, no matter, like, we know why the second miscarriage happened, because that was an abnormal, non-viable embryo. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions, but I started going down this rabbit hole about PCOS. I started reading so many books about PCOS and different ways to naturally treat PCOS. And I uncovered that basically as you get older and you get past menopause, you start to not struggle with the fertility or the acne or the periods, but you start to struggle with prediabetes, diabetes, higher risk of heart attack and stroke, cardiovascular health. And so what I did was I started reading all these books, and maybe I'll put some down in the link below if you want to check them out. But I essentially learned that I needed to eat really differently than probably a normal person eats in order to control these crazy blood sugar surges and dips that not only affected my hunger levels, but also my mood, even my personality. I mean, literally after changing the way that I eat, I feel so much more even keel and calm, less anxious, less high energy in like an uncomfortable way. And it's just crazy to think that, I mean, this could have played into my personality for years. So what I did, and I'll go into another video about it, but essentially cut gluten, cut dairy, cut sugar, cut most carbs. So I usually don't eat meals with carbs in them. Of course, vegetables are carbs, and I'm not super low carb right now, like keto or anything. I'll just eat like half the plate is vegetables, a normal portion of protein, no more protein than I need. So like 4 ounces of chicken, whatever. And then fats have played a much, much bigger role in my diet than I've allowed them to play ever, because I've always been focused on like a lower fat diet. So I now eat avocados and nuts and coconut oil and like olive oil like on a daily basis, incorporating a lot of those healthy fats. Honestly, I don't feel that I would have made changes like this had it not been for that second miscarriage, because it's such an extreme change where it seems like I'm giving up so much. But with all that I went through with the second miscarriage, I was just like, and it's not that I necessarily feel, I don't know how much this is going to directly affect my fertility, but I know that it will directly affect my health going forward. Especially as I get older and I start to look at the risks of cardiovascular challenges. Okay, so that was going on, and I think something else happened. So yeah, I've drastically changed the way that I eat. I've started incorporating some supplements into my diet that are also known to not only help with the insulin resistance and to keep my blood sugar more regulated, but also positively impact my mood and my stability of my mood, basically. And it's really helped me in general to achieve like a new level of calm. Another thing I thought of, which is crazy, is just like I'm really into mindfulness, meditation. I'm a big advocate of that, and creating an environment that doesn't contribute to stress and anxiety. For example, packing your calendar too full of things, that's not going to help your anxiety, and that's something that you can control to some extent. And it's crazy to think about how these biological aspects may also be affecting many people's anxiety and stress levels, hormones, essentially hormones. So something else happened when the second miscarriage happened, besides diving deep into what could have gone wrong, making my health a higher priority than I have ever made it in my life. Not cutting corners with my health, understanding that nothing is as important as my health. The second miscarriage really, it just changed my priorities. Okay, it's hard to explain, but all the stuff I was doing day to day, it seemed so unimportant after the second miscarriage. Life is precious, and what really matters, I feel like the second miscarriage, it broke me open. It broke open my heart, and it opened my heart to even the people on YouTube I was watching and hearing about fertility things. Like, I connected with them. It was like the pain and the tragedy and the sorrow of it all, like, brought my soul to a deeper level of feeling that I'd ever encountered. And it made me think about my life and like what's important. So I had been working in a kind of a marketing role for several years now, and I was pretty happy in that role. It was providing an income, and it was I had a good boss. I enjoyed the work. But in the fall, before the miscarriage, so miscarriage happened in January. In the fall, we had just moved to Dallas in September. And so through the fall, I was looking for a new role in the Dallas area because there's a lot more options here than in Oklahoma where I was before. But starting in November, December, I was applying to roles. I got some attention, but things were not working out. It's a tough market right now as well, with layoffs going on and with budgets being cut. And so it's a tough market. But even when I wouldn't get jobs, like, what I realized is that I was not disappointed when I wouldn't get them. I was not excited about these jobs. And I had been excited. The role that I had at that time, like the role that I was in, I was excited when I got that job. I couldn't wait for my first day. The job before that, I was excited to start the first day. I was looking forward to it. And so I was not excited about the roles I was looking at, even though they were in my experience area, stuff that I have historically really enjoyed. But I was almost craving a deeper level, like making more of an impact in a deeper way. energetically, I was not connected to these jobs that I was applying for. I had no energy. And that's what I teach my clients, is that when there's something you want, you'll feel an energy, a curiosity. You'll feel drawn toward that thing. You'll feel your energy levels increase. And that wasn't happening for me. And from experience, I knew that something was wrong and that maybe that's not the path for me, but I didn't know what to do. I asked my higher power in the fall, I said, is now the time? Do you want me to quit this job? Because I could quit this job now. We'd be okay financially for a little while. Like, I could quit this job. Higher power, do you want me to? And the answer was no. I felt it in my bones. The answer was no. And I didn't know why. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this because you're not done with me here yet. But then the miscarriage happened in January, February, and March. And long story short, this past week, I put in my notice at my job, and I don't have another job lined up. I can't emphasize enough that in this case, it wasn't like a toxic situation. I loved my boss. It was a great company to work for. They'd been very good to me. I was even happy with my salary. So it wasn't any of that. It was that I can't explain it. I just knew it was the right thing to do. And it didn't even make sense to me. And it still doesn't make sense to me now. All I know is that I was very in touch with my higher power through this whole process and with my intuition, and was asking my higher power, is now the time for this job to end? No. Okay. Is now the time for me to put in my notice? No. Okay. That answer, kind of like how this works with higher power so often in our lives. Then in February-ish, after the miscarriage, maybe that was kind of the turning point for me, but my higher power said, now. And I said, now? Like now? And my higher power said, yep, now. And I said, higher power, I don't have another job though. And higher power said, I know. And I was like, and higher power was like, it's time to go. So I had to tie up some loose ends, and that's why it waited until March. And I put in my notice, and I'll be done by the end of March. And I don't have a plan. I expect there will be some fertility things happening in 2023. We are considering the IVF route, and we haven't fully decided that right now, but there's other fertility options. Even as it is, I have a fertility doctor, I have an endocrinologist for thyroid issues, and I have my OB, as well as like other doctors. So like, I'm very busy getting a test done through the fertility doctor. So it's very time consuming to go get your blood drawn, talk to the doctor. Okay, go do this test, go do this. And I know that IVF would be even more intense. So there's definitely that aspect to think about. There's this channel, and like all that I want to do, I have a lot of projects that I'm genuinely so excited about, that I expect I'll have more energy to work on, hopefully, and really dive deeper with you guys into trauma healing, spirituality, and all the topics we like to talk about together. But other than that, I don't have a plan. And maybe there's a perfect role job out there for me that is waiting for me, and that will come as a next step, or maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm taking it one step at a time, but I feel like all of this really came from that second miscarriage. And one thing that I'll leave you with that I found very helpful is this kind of Zen Buddhism perspective, that when things happen to us, we're very quick to judge whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Was this a good thing that happened to me? This was a bad thing. And when you tell people stuff, oh, that's good. Oh, that's horrible. And that's a very human, normal reaction. But the Zen Buddhist perspective encourages us to not judge whether something that's happening to us is a good thing or a bad thing. We don't know, and that's the whole premise, is we don't know what's going to come out of that event. We do know that the universe has our back every step of the way, and nothing happens to us that was not allowed by our higher power for our highest good. We know that. What we often struggle with is, well, I don't see how this is for our highest good. This was extremely painful for me. Why would God do that to me? And I don't see how anything good could come out of this. And that's also very normal and understandable. And I certainly felt that way a lot over the last couple of months. However, I do see that the second miscarriage left a mark on me that's permanent. I will never be the same again after the second miscarriage. Whether I have 3, 4 miscarriages or 5, who knows? Whether we do IVF, I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I will not be the same again after this miscarriage. I also know that it changed my perspective, helped me connect more deeply with the pain and the struggles and the humanity of other people. And I also know that without it, I probably would not have made the drastic positive health changes that I've been able to make over the last couple of months. And so who are we to say whether something is a good thing or a bad thing? And that looking at life as just looking at each thing in life as something curious. That's interesting that happened. Some good things come of it, some bad things come of it, but ultimately it's here for our highest good. And that perspective, I just can't stop thinking about that over the last couple of weeks, that all these things that may be so painful for us to go through may very well be the catalyst for incredible transformation that ripples out and heals thousands of people. Or I even think of the women who bravely share on YouTube about their experience, and just how they've impacted me so much, and how they were able and brave enough to alchemize their pain into healing for other people. And that's what I'm really feeling a lot of right now, is that flow of life, the ebb and flow of the painful things and then the glorious things, and then almost the beauty and pain and the depth of feeling and how we're all connected. And I don't think any of that would have come without the second miscarriage. Those are the main changes and things that I've been going through, and I just wanted to let you guys know, and would love to hear in the comments below your experience with these life transitions, times when you've been asked by your higher power to do things that you were like, you sure about that, God? Or, your experience with infertility, miscarriage, IVF. I'm here for it all. Thank you for listening and for watching, and I will see you next time.